If I sound a little. All right, let's get it. We are going into the call, and we are going to talk about the follow up and collecting decisions and the close and things like that. I did want to just, as always, a little announcement. It's the same announcement every single week. But if you don't have your convention ticket, go and grab your convention ticket. You know we're going to be at the end of what? No, beginning mid September. Convention in Arizona. It's going to be lit. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited to get together with you guys again. I feel like it's been so long. And yeah, go get your ticket. It's 175. It's insane. Talked about it last week. We spent like $100 on tickets to go to this conference in California for like a church for a day and a half, 2 days. And I'm so excited for that. And it just put perspective on events in general. It's like, yeah, like these things are here to like shock me, like get me moving in the right direction. And they say like if you want to become great, like go be around the great. If you want to become wise, go be around the wise. And that's the same place here. You can't expect to really, you know, do anything different in your life if you aren't seeing and copying and watching other people that have what you want, and get inside of a room and an environment where you can really see that, not just physically but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like it completely, like you're like completely absorbing that within your entire being. And you guys get my point. Everybody on this call has been to a convention. Get your ticket, post it in the chat when you do, and let's spark some enthusiasm and excitement. And then the other thing, just recap from last week. Last week's call was a lot of fun. For well, I shouldn't say fun, but it was fun to speak on those things. Four things that great leaders do. People are the passion, making people the passion. Lead with your priorities. Having a major commitment to excellence. It's not just about the work. It's the excellence. It's the detail. It's the extra mile that's attached to the work. And then having an attitude of generosity. You get into a room and you have a generous heart, it just lifts the lid. It just completely like removes any guard that people have around you. Try it, you'll see for yourself. And then today, guys, we're going to get into that video. Hopefully everybody watched it. Maybe you watched it a few times. But I know I've been watching that video for the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, and it's been powerful. And while you guys are getting maybe your some of your takeaways together, your questions, whatever, things like that, feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to just type it in the chat, whatever you guys want to do. I'm going to kick it off with a rhetorical question, and one of my first takeaways while you guys are getting ready. Okay, so one of my first questions for you guys that I really pulled from this video, and I'm going to relate it to trading, actually, to give you guys an analogy, is, and this is for you. You don't need to type it in the chat, but do you have a plan for your business? Do you have, oh my God, do you have a plan for your business? You treat this like a business, okay? Do you have a plan for your business? Okay, and one of my first takeaways that I got from this was, people will probably shy away from you when you come across too pushy, when you come across desperate, and when you're coming on way too strong. I like what John Melton said in the video. He was like, "You have commission breath," and I was just laughing because he gave if you guys remember, he was giving a few examples. You come on way too strong, too pushy, you're desperate. You just have like commission breath on people, and like that's not attractive. People don't want to buy from you. People don't want to work with you. Like you're not likable at all. And I'm guilty of this. I went back through some of my follow-ups from like long term, and I'm like, oh, Abby, like that was not good. Like I wouldn't even have replied to you. Like that's not good at all. So that was one of my first, like, boom, like, yes, that's a big takeaway. And asking yourself, turning these like takeaways into questions too, of like, how often do you feel, if you could look back at like your follow-ups or your conversations that you have, like if you just went back to your last 20 conversations, 10 conversations, what does that look like? What does that sound like? What's the energy like? What do you think your attitude was like, in those conversations? Are you coming off too strong, or are you showing, like, are you matching them? If they're leaning away, like if they're pushing back, are you like, whoa, so it's all good? Or if they're leaning in, are you leaning in? And these are all rhetorical. You can answer them for yourself. Oh my gosh, let me shout you guys out. I didn't even do that. I always do that. All right, really quick, guys, before I read off everybody's questions in the chat. Let's see. Oh, we got on the call here today. We got a stacked house this morning. Let's go. We got Alex. I knew you'd be on the call today, Al. All right, Crystal, I see you, girl. Eric, welcome to the call. Jacques on the call. Let's go. Marin with her camera on. Let's go. Mason, I see you, dog. Welcome to the call. Rachel on the call. Let's go, girl. Sam, I see you, bro. And Tony, last but not least, good to see you, dude. Glad to have you guys here. All right, now we get that out the way. Let's get into it. Okay, Alex said her takeaway, come up with creative follow-ups. Yeah, that was big too. Coming up with creative follow-ups. You don't have to be, cookie cutter. This is how I follow up with people every single time. You got to be human. This was super helpful because I have many people on my follow-up list, and it was kind of relieving that he mentioned he doesn't even bring the business up when he follows up. Yeah, be more interested about them and show that you care about them. Yeah, that's really important. When you're following up with people, you don't always have to bring up the business as the follow-up. Half the time when I'm following up, I'm not even talking to them. I know it sounds weird. I'm actually going and interacting with their page or their story to initiate a conversation. And like he said, make excuses to follow up with people when it's time. You don't want to be obsessive and annoying. You have a sense of human nature about this. You can tell, would you be annoyed if somebody was talking to you this many times? Okay, they're probably annoyed too. Okay, so just use your judgment that way. That's good. Out. Jacques says my takeaway is always be adding new people to your contact list and prospect always. Yeah, this is like a day to day. It's like a lifestyle. It's like every day my head does not hit the pillow until I've talked to a certain number of people every day. And it doesn't even need to be I'm sick right now, and even yesterday I just put down 10 people, 10 new people I talked to. Nothing crazy. And it doesn't take very long to start 10 new conversations. But that's important. If you are really treating this like a business, that should be in your repertoire. That should be in your day-to-day. That should be in your routine. That should be a part of your major commitment to excellence. It's yeah, I've got a good thing. I got to share it. I believe in this. Okay. That's good. Marin says, my takeaway was be a human first. Oh yeah, that was powerful. Follow up, not relating to our product or platform. Ask them how they are and start a real conversation. Yeah, that's it. Super simple. Be a human first, not a robot. Or he said human first, marketer next, something like that. All right, Eric said look for people with whip. I'm just kidding. Work ethic, hunger. I don't even know what show that's from. Work ethic, hunger, integrity. Somebody's gonna put in the chat. Hunger, integrity, and personal power. Yes, good one, good one. Yeah, you have to have qualifications for people that you're talking to. You can't just if you go to their page and their page, I'll find people from Gary Vee. So this is kind of what I do. And you don't have to go to Gary Vee, you can do somebody that you look up to. But I go to Gary Vee's page and I'll go to the people that share his posts. So a lot of times you'll have 400, 600, 1,000 plus people share his posts, and I'm just looking for 10 to 20, right? And I'll go to their page and they'll have one post from Gary Vee that they share, and then the rest of it is stupid stuff. You're annoying. This is so obnoxious. Why are you sharing this? And then I don't even have any reason to add them as a friend or carry on a further conversation because they only shared one thing from Gary Vee, and the rest of their page is bro, what do you do all day? Or girl, what do you why you complain about this all day long? So I can kind of tell from what their posts and their messages are, and you have a conversation with people, and you look for these things. So all right, that was great, Eric. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, Alex, Family Guy, good job. All right, Mason. For some reason, he said, the biggest thing that stuck out to me all day yesterday from the video was when he was talking about the more you can have someone feel good and happy with you, the more likely they will join. Yeah, this was a big takeaway for me too. When I saw that, if you can make them feel good, if you can make them laugh, if you can make them smile, happy when they're in your presence, they're more likely to not only join you, but like I've had people join me where I don't know if they like me or not. they just like they're just excited about whatever they just saw. Like I've had people get started like right away and we didn't really build much of a relationship and then they quit in their first 30 days. So like having somebody that not only gets started but like actually likes you, like you're a likable person. When you can build that genuine like bond and relationship and you made that connection on an emotional level, that's very, very powerful. And having that thought process too when you're in conversation with people with making them feel good is super important. So great takeaway. Um, Sam said my three biggest takeaways were Family Guy. No, I'm just kidding. Were number one to be human, to be a human being first. We're the only one laughing. Everyone else has a straight face. All right, I'm just kidding. To be a human being first before a network marketer. Yeah, very powerful. Two, play the long game when prospecting. You're gonna follow up multiple times. Yeah, facts. That's good. And number three, you must really believe in your product. Yeah, those are good, Sam. The human being first, network marketer second, because everyone wants to play the marketer, and no one wants to go down to like their roots. I'm like, no, I'm human, bro. I'm just like you. Playing the long game actually set aside a lot of anxiety for me, and not beating myself up and obsessing over like, oh my god, I gotta hit this goal by this time, or blah blah blah, whatever thing that we put in our head. And I actually think that that hurts a lot of people down the road that set these goals and then like maybe they hit them or they don't hit them and like something happens and then maybe they lose the goal, like it's happened to me before. And then they totally identify themselves with the fact that they didn't hit the goal, or maybe they hit the goal and then they lost it. Been there, done that, I know that feeling. And then it sometimes will actually put people out the game, because they're so short term focused, they're so like goal oriented, and results like their whole identity is around like that result instead of like the day to day, instead of like who you are at your core. And that's why I read that little thing in the beginning, because I want you guys to understand like your consistent walk every single day is like what matters. You're gonna like whatever God has designed for you, and your pace and your steadiness of growth, that's up to him. And I've stopped like judging myself about it, because it's like, Abby, you're right where you're supposed to be. And every single one of you guys on this call, you are right where you're supposed to be. And Sam, thanks for bringing this up, but you've got to play the long game. If I was here just to hit chairman, I'd be out a long time ago. But I'm here, like we talked about last week. This is about the people. I make people the passion. Like I lead with my priorities and what God has set for my life. I make excellence a major commitment to my work and the detail and going the extra mile. It's so much deeper than a title. It's so much bigger than just a position. I'm playing the long game, and it's not about that. It's who I'm becoming. And if you guys can really let that sit, and you guys can really let that settle, you'll stop judging yourself over it, and you'll stop like being inconsistent in your walk, and you'll be consistent and you'll show up, because it's not about just hitting a goal or hitting a result. It's more about the process and the journey and who you're becoming. And that's all that matters. This is a safe place. I hope that you guys know that these calls. I don't want anybody to come on these calls and feel like they're being judged or feel discouraged or feel like, well, Abby, you're here to encourage us and empower us in a way. Yeah, I take that to heart. I don't want to be on here to just, every Saturday morning you guys get up at 6 a.m. and you just feel discouraged walking away from these calls. That'd be the worst. Nobody would show up anymore. But I've been on calls where I feel like you're belittling me, like somebody I look up to, and you're like, I feel like you're tearing me down. I feel like I'm trying my best and you don't realize what I'm doing behind the scenes. And I feel discouraged after whatever call that was. So, all right, my point is, Sam, thanks for saying that. Long game, gotta play the long game. And number three, yeah, you must really believe in what you're doing. And I think the best way to continue to build your belief is showing up, is being a product of the product. I mean, if I take 2 days off of Go Live, I'm like a totally like different person than 2 days ago. Like my belief is low. I don't know anything about the markets. I'm just kidding. But I just like, I don't feel normal. And every time I show up to Go Live and I listen to Mike Navarrete, or I listen to Kurt Cobain, or whoever your favorite educator is, like they just build my belief. I don't even have to get a result. Just plugging in to Go Live, but it's natural. Like I don't know, Mike Sotero called out a trade this week on Solana, and it was a sell position, and I caught like, I don't know, I forget the pips, how you count the pips for Solana, but I got in at like 45.55, 45.55, and I got out at like 40.13. It was insane. Like, caught the sell, and then Mike Navarrete sent out a thing on his pip talk, and he called it for a buy at Mike Sotero's like target. So he called a buy at Mike Sotero's target, and then I rode the buy up. I was like, I didn't have to do anything. I just drew my fib up, and I was like, yep, this follows my strategy. Boom, I'm getting in. And you don't gotta do anything fancy. You just gotta keep pulling it in. All right, Sam, you had some great points. Appreciate you. Alex says 7 to 12 follow-ups. The Facebook page helps get multiple follow-ups. Yeah, that was actually one of the follow-ups, or one of the takeaways I was going to share with you guys. When John Melton said, you know, you're probably like, the average follow-up is about 7 to 10 to 12 times. And yeah, the Facebook page will help you get multiple follow-ups in one, because there's so many things that they could be seeing in there that you're not even doing anything, and they're just kind of maybe clicking around and taking a look. And one thing that I'll piggyback off of what you said, Al, is the 7 to 12 follow-up thing. One thing that stood out to me is not just the number, because I think a lot of us have heard the number. You know, it takes, you know, quite a few follow-ups for people to make a decision. I'm going to get into that actually really in a second, the making the decision part. But it's over the course of, you know, it could be over the course of days. It could be over the course of weeks. It could be over the course of months or years. And I'm going to give you guys real quick, and if you continue to have takeaways, you know, post them in the chat, or when I'm done saying this, you can unmute yourself. But something I want to share with you and give you this analogy with trading, and I can't remember if I said it last week or the week before. Doesn't matter. I'm going to say it again, and you guys can hear it in a different way. So I think sometimes when we go to, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because I remember I was taught in some way, shape, or form that, like, you know, if you can collect a decision in 72 hours, like, you know, or, you know, you want to be able to collect a decision in 72 hours, something like that, or, you know, some time frame. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys an example of why this is like not a good way to think about this, a good way to go about this, because you're trying to put a timeline on something that you can't control. You cannot control when somebody's going to make a decision. You actually can't control when somebody's going to watch a video. You can't control when somebody's going to get started. Okay. And a lot of times in our space, people like to control things that they cannot control. And you know what that does? When the results don't actually happen, because most of the time they're not, you get discouraged, you get disappointed, and to the point where if it happens over and over and over again, you're going to get defeated if you don't have the right mindset, if you haven't developed yourself enough yet. Okay. And how this relates to trading is Mike Navarrete says on his Go Live sessions all the time, he says, you know, what's the number one goal, you know, for you? And they're like, to make this percentage for the week, to make this amount of money per week, this amount of money per month. And he's like, no, it's not that. It's like, it's following your plan. That's why I said at the beginning, do you have a plan for your business? The number one thing in your trading, he says, is following your plan, and risk to reward goes in there, but it's following your plan. Because I cannot control if my trade is going to take profit or not. I can't say, okay, I'm gonna put my trade in, and, you know, it must hit take profit in 3 days. No, it may not even go to your take profit. It may hit your stop loss. Like, you get what I'm trying to say here. We put timelines around things that we cannot control, and then it leads to us getting discouraged and people thinking that they can't do something or they're not good enough. But in reality, we're just setting unrealistic expectations. So in our business, we cannot put a timeline around when somebody's going to get started. We can't put a time, like, you could say, but you might find yourself running into a wall where you're discouraged because you're putting unrealistic expectations. You could say, you know, my goal this week in my business is to sign up 3 people. Okay, well, are you willing to break your plan? Are you willing to go against your morals and your integrity and maybe manipulate or lie or do things that are out of character to hit that goal? And that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying when it comes to your trading plan. You know, if you have a 15%, you know, goal for the week on your trading account, well, are you willing to manipulate your plan? Are you willing to go outside of what your plan and your checklist is to hit that 15%? Are you willing to over leverage, have a little bit more greed than normal? It's like, no. So why are we setting standards in our life that are unrealistic, that are not practical? And so I don't know if that hit for anybody. Maybe I've got to say it again, and it will not be on this call, but maybe you just got to hear it again. But I really want you guys to understand, a lot of times we just get so discouraged around things because we're putting unrealistic expectations on them. And you can't put like real, lasting, true, concrete success is not going to be built on a timeline. Okay. When I talk to people now, I don't have an agenda. I really don't. And people can tell. Like, I was kind of like, since Wednesday was when I started to like feel nasty about, my getting sick and everything. And ever since Wednesday this week, like my follow-up reviewing my follow-ups have been like a little off. But it's funny because when I got exposures, the people that I exposed followed up with me. They messaged me back. And I will say something that helps too. I actually need to say this. Alex told me I should probably mention this. You guys know the kind of the method that we talked about, how to start conversations with cold market. What I was kind of telling you guys for a while. It's like, hey, I know this is super random, or hey, I know we don't know each other, but you seem really driven about your goals. You seem really open and driven about about where you're going, whatever. Would you be open to taking a look at a way to put your money to work or learn a new skill? That whole method. I will tell you that it is probably going to be more effective for you to use that way if you are consistent on your social media. The reason being is because you're a like random, like stranger person that you're inboxing them, and they don't know you. And the first thing that people usually do is they go to your page, and you don't need to post every day, but you need to have some sort of like that's your business card. Where are you showing trust? Where are you giving? And it's hard to like show trust on social media, but like consistency builds credibility. So if they go to your page and they're like, oh, this person's pretty active, or oh, they're showing a lot of value, or maybe motivation or inspiration. Like, I feel good, going back to Mason's point, I feel good when I'm on their page. Or maybe you made a post and it made them smile, or you made a post and it made them, laugh. I don't know. But you guys get my point. If your social media is like blank, or it's not consistent, or it's pretty dry, or it's not a lot, it's not valuable. You guys are all valuable individuals. You just got to share it. And you just have to start where you are. That's where I started, right where I was. It was messy, it was ugly, it wasn't pretty. And you have value to share. Just stop overthinking it. I literally stopped overthinking it. I just don't think about it anymore. Just like, I'm posting this. I don't care. I don't care if it gets to 10 views or if it gets 1,000 views. We're going to post it because somebody based on what I wrote or whatever is going to take something away. And that's all that matters. If it can impact one person, that's fine. That's like what I've been telling myself. Then you're posting it. And that's that. But I can tell you right now, if you're not doing that method of inboxing people is going to be a little harder, because you aren't really giving yourself that edge of trust or likability or relatability either with people. Drop a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Drop a 1 if you're following what I'm saying, because I have conversations with some of you guys sometimes, and I'm not saying that that's going to be like, the end all be all, but I will tell you it'll probably help with some of the traction. And also too, this whole video of being a human first, marketer second, and actually having a genuine concern and care for other people is going to help too. Like, I stopped being by the book. I stopped, script. What's next? What do I say after this conversation or after this text? I stopped being like that. And I was like, what is this person trying to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Meeting them where they're at and also showing them where they can go. And being that person that's already setting the standard. You set the standard in your life. When we come to calls like these, or environments, maybe it's a trading Tuesday, you guys are getting together with your team or whatever. You're the standard, whether somebody else is organizing it or not. I believe I'm the standard always. When I walk into the room, I'm setting the bar. I'm raising the environment. And you are that too. You just gotta own it. Okay. All right, we got ones from everybody. Okay. Before I get into last couple of things here, just some of the takeaways that I had. Does anybody want to mute themselves and have any questions that they want to ask, or anything else that they wanted to share? No, we good. Okay, no problem. All right. Okay, I will just share a couple of things that I wrote down because you guys had a lot of great takeaways. So I'm gonna read this out to y'all. So I wrote about okay, he said I kind of said this already, but he said they are people, this is really important to keep in mind. I know that they say, you guys ever heard, some of the leaders talk about, we're looking for serious people. We are working with serious people. We only want to work with the serious, right? And then, you're having conversations with people, and in the back of your head, you're like, well, they're not very serious. They didn't respond to me right away, or they didn't message me back, or they left me on red. And something that John Melton says that's very powerful is, he knows they are busy. He knows that they are casually looking at what we do. I want you to write that word down. Casually looking at what we do. Like they will, the serious part is what I took away from this, doesn't really happen until they've caught the vision, until they're ready to get started and they're making that move to join. But in the beginning, you're building that relationship, you're getting to know them, they're getting to know you, you're building that sense of trust and likability. I want you to write that word down too, likability. Like, do the people that you're talking to like you yet? Like, you guys ever heard that where if you're in a relationship with somebody, like people can say all the time, oh, I love them, like, I love her, I love him, or whatever. And then the relationship grows over time, but do you still like that person? Like, there's a difference. You can love someone, but do you like them? You know what I'm saying? Like, does the person that you're talking to, that you're looking to help get started, that are looking into what we do they even like you yet? Okay. And you'll know, like, it's not a guessing game, like, you'll know. Okay. But they are casually looking at what we do. They're busy. Like, just know that they're busy. I used to be that person. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, I'm guilty, and it's just the way that I was taught, and it is what it is. It's okay. We grow and we develop over time. But I was that person that was, maybe a little bit aggressive in my follow-ups, or I had this like demeanor about myself when I was talking to people, like, if you didn't watch the video, if you're not serious, like, I literally saw myself on a follow-up from the other day, and I said that, I was like, cringe, ew, nobody should say that to anybody. But like, we don't need to say those things. Okay. Like, you just need to be yourself, and you need to look at the person that you're talking to. How would you respond if somebody wrote that to you? Right? Think about whoever got you started. If if it was me or if it was somebody else, if they were to say that to you before you got started, and you were actually like open to this, but you had other shit going on in your life, you're taking care of, or this, you didn't see the vision yet, how would you have responded? They came off a little pushy, a little too much, a little hype, a little extra. Okay. People are naturally going to move away from people that come on too strong. And you may care about people, you may say that you care about people, and I promise, I believe you. Okay. I believe every single person on this call believes, or has a genuine care of other people. But sometimes the balance scale, the care part, and I just need to get a sign up will outweigh, like, I care about you, and it will show subconsciously. And we need to check ourselves, and we need to, like, again, human first, marketer second. We need to meet them where they're at. Okay. And ask yourself, this is a rhetorical question. Ask yourself, do you come off like you need them? Do you come off when you talk to people like you need them? I'm always like, I've been meeting people where they're at. And I'm trying to give you an example of some of the stuff that I've been saying, but the language doesn't really, the language does matter, but it doesn't, you'll kind of catch that as you go. But it's just like, talk to people how you would want to be talked to. Like, hey, give this a watch when you can. I'll try to reach out to you by tomorrow. Hey, do you think that you could, you'd be able to watch this, by this afternoon sometime? Like, just be courteous with your words and have a concern about, okay, they probably have a lot of things going on in their world. I understand. And when you go to follow up with them, it doesn't need to be super direct. Like, have a little emotion attached to it. Have a little concern. Hey, just want to reach out to you. Not sure if you had a chance to watch the video. I'd love to hear, what you took away from it. I'd love to hear what you like best. Hey, I'd love to, I wanted to check in with you. Did you have a chance? I know you may be busy. Did you have a chance to watch the video? Like, it's a different language. It's a different heart. Okay. Check your heart. Think about what you do and be real. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have questions about it, let me know. This is something that's not really related to the follow up. I guess it is kind of, but as you start to do this more, you'll see it more. I see it a lot. But as a leader, you have to be okay with people not remembering what you said the first time. I can't tell you how many times I'll tag somebody in the launch or the Facebook group, and I'll go to follow up with them, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't see your tag, or I didn't see your blah blah blah," and you definitely tagged them, or you definitely added them to the page, and it's like, oh, and you can't be like aggressive about it or mean or like, oh, I already tagged you. They're not gonna want to talk to you. They're not gonna want to listen to you. Be like, oh, okay, no worries. Let me see if I tagged you. Let me make sure I tagged you. And then you can get back to me like, oh, okay, I'm not sure what happened. I just tagged you again. Let me know. Can you see that? It's okay. And even your team, you'll say something they won't understand the first time. It's okay. And this is one thing too. Have grace with people, whether it's your mentors or your uplines or even your cross lines or your team or whoever it is, because everybody's going through something, and that's something like I had to learn the hard way. I would get like, you have to watch out. I feel like we all go through stages, and as you start to build a team, you'll maybe become aware of this for yourself. We talked about this a few weeks ago with the CVI, the core values index, and who you are, and what makes you tick, and what puts you in an ineffective state and in effective state. Okay. Basically you have to watch out for what, like, leaders that and people in general that will do things to manipulate or intimidate. And I see it sometimes, just across the board in our space. It's very easy to get that way, where you don't even recognize sometimes that you're doing it. But leaders that will make you like that will put you off, like that will make you feel a certain type of way because they're not hitting their bottom line, they're not hitting their results, and so they'll say things to manipulate their team or intimidate or interrogate or whatever. And it's always important for us to check ourselves as well. Am I acting out or lashing out that way? And I have grace for people because I know what it feels like to be in that space, because that was what was all on my mind. And I'm not even a bottom line person. Like, I don't give a crap about that. I really don't. Like, I'm like, long game, let's go. We're playing, to be here in 2 decades. Like, that's my mentality. I feel like if I get into like bottom line zone, it's because I'm trying to appease somebody. I'm trying to prove something to somebody else. I'm trying to, get in proximity or position to certain people. And like, that's just not me at all. Like, I don't care about that stuff. Like, I really don't. And some people do, and that's okay. But the way that you do it can't be manipulative. It can't be to intimidate people. And I've seen that. And those are the defense mechanisms of certain, values, like core values that matter to you. When you're in an ineffective state, that's where you will go. You'll go to your deepest levels of manipulating others or intimidating others to get what you need, what you want. And that's a selfish standpoint. And we're leaders, and leaders don't do that. Great leaders don't do that. So another thing that you should write down is you are pre-training people before they even get started. So everything that you're doing, the way that you talk to them, the way that you follow up, the way that you speak to them, how you are on your socials, for example, because a lot of these conversations are going to be online. Your consistency, things like that. You are pre-training people before they even get started. Okay. So you have to be very mindful in your process and what you're doing, because it's whatever it is, it's going to duplicate. Okay. Another thing, when someone pulls back, don't lean in, pull back with them, give them some air, get off, get off of them. Okay. Don't be that commission breath person. Give them some space. Half the time when I go to follow up with somebody, if it's like kind of a longer term follow up, I won't actually necessarily message them right away. I'll go and like some of their stuff throughout the week, throughout the month. Hit the like button on their stories or whatever. Just to kind of like, slowly reintroduce myself, because they still see me on social, but we haven't talked in a minute. I'm trying to warm it back up again. Something else that he said is become a great question asker. Don't be an interrogator, but be curious. Be curious about them. Do you even know, this is really important, do you even know why the person that you're talking to wants to do this? Do you know their why? And I love what he said in the video. He was like, most people don't have a why that's going to make them cry right away. Most people don't. I did not. When I first got started, I did not have a why that made me cry. I was working an insurance job, and I was working maybe 7.5 hours a day. And I was in a lot of student loan debt, and I just wanted out of that. But it didn't make me cry or anything. He was like, I just didn't want to work a job. I think you discover, that deeper why as you get involved and you get exposed to like what's possible and where you can go. But I think you should have an idea of like, why does this person want to do this in the first place? Where do they want to go? In my first initial voice note, when I'm talking to people, the first thing I say is, yeah, I can definitely send you over some information, and you can take a look and, see this for yourself, make that decision if this is something that's, not only for you, but it's aligned with your goals. It's aligned with where you want to go. And I say that to them because I want them to know it's not about me. It's about you. I want to make sure that you know that this is something that's for you, that this is up your alley. This is something that you've been looking for. This is something you've been wanting to pursue. And I make it very known in that voice note. And you have to catch yourself. Go back and listen to some of the stuff that you write or some of the stuff that you've like did in voice notes or whatever. And does it sound like it's more about like what you want, or is it more about, you're interested in them? And it's very easy to be like, oh no, I'd be like, it's all about them. Well, go check, go listen, go look. The other thing is, you may seem like you care and you do, but that balancing scale, we may be more concerned with getting a sign up because, we're in that survival mode. We haven't gotten a sign up in a minute or whatever. And, it is what it is, but, give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, but also make sure you're doing the work. Do you have an agenda when you're talking to people? That was big. I don't have an agenda. Like, I have a plan and I'm following my plan, but like, I'm not, all right, I need this person to say yes or whatever. It's like, you're going to say yes if it's time for you to say yes. Because if you're not like self-motivated and ready to rock, like, I don't even want it. You're going to be out of here in 90 days or less. Okay. And then, yeah. Okay. The last thing on here that I wrote down, and if you guys have any other takeaways, definitely ask. But the last thing I was going to say, I didn't really write much about it, but he said in the call at the end, have a doctor approach. This was super important, where it's kind of like a consultation with people, where like less interrogation, but more of like, you're genuinely like, and he was saying like, give advice. I don't want you guys to take this out of proportion. Like, we are not here to, I don't want you guys wasting your time with people that are just trying to waste your time. They're just trying to get free information. Does that make sense? They're just trying to like kind of take stuff from you and then like, that's it. Okay. You don't need to waste your time with those. You don't need to be Okay. And this is another thing too, because he said this. Don't take this out of proportion either. You should not be jumping on calls with people that haven't watched a video, or maybe they have watched a video, but they're not 8, 9, 10 on a scale 1 to 10. Okay. And you probably shouldn't be jumping on that call by yourself. You should probably have a 3-way, like, get me on the call. Okay. Unless whoever brought you on is somebody different. You should be hosting 3-way calls by yourself. That's a 2-way. And that's not good. That's not duplicatable, because now you don't have any leverage. The reason why we do 3 ways is because of leverage. And that's the difference maker between the left-hand side of the cash flow quadrant and the right side. Everybody on the right side has leverage. Everybody on the left side does not. And that's why they're still trading their time for money. Okay. Don't go and start doing behaviors from the left-hand side of the cash flow quadrant. We're trying to get out of there. We're trying to move and transition to the right side. You guys get my point. Okay. But what I'm saying is he has this doctor approach. And the only reason why I bring that up is because you have that, hopefully, doctors have that genuine care and concern of where are you at, what are the symptoms going on in your life, and here's the solution to your problem. Here's where you could go. Here's what we can do together. Okay. Based on whatever they say, whatever they're wanting to do. But my last question for you guys, and we'll wrap up this call, is based on and this is rhetorical. You don't need to type in the chat. Based on the reps based on the reps you've put in, how much experience have you built up for yourself? Based on the reps that you've been putting in, day out. I want you to go back to the passage I said at the beginning, okay, about your consistent walk. Your consistent walk. It's not about how fast you're going. It's not about, how fast things are changing or whatever. It's your consistency in your walk, okay? Based on the reps that you've been putting in, how much experience have you been building up for yourself? Because you can control the reps that you put in to an extent, okay? But focus on things that you can control, because if you're just inconsistent day in and day out with building this business, you don't really have a plan that you're following, or you have a plan but you're not following it, you're not working it consistently. You're not really putting yourself in a position where you can really see any sort of like real lasting growth and improvement, because you're just inconsistent. And plus those reps over time, it's not the reps itself, it's doing the reps in multiple different scenarios, circumstances, and environments. Like I'm doing these reps every day, whether I'm at home and things are pretty chill, they're pretty normal, or I'm traveling, or I'm with family, or I'm, sick, or whatever's going on. I'm still getting the reps in, and it's different circumstances, because regardless of the circumstance, I'm not going to make an excuse about doing the reps, because this is a part of my business. This is my lifestyle. Like residual income is real for me. And I know some of you on this call, maybe you haven't had a chance to, taste what residual income feels like yet. But I need you to understand, and this is like every day you're plugging in, you're showing up, and you're building your belief, and you've got to make it real for you first before it happens. Like before I had my first residual income check, it was so real for me. I was like, I already know this is coming. I know, like, you guys ever hit a goal and you just know it's already done, and then when it's like when you hit it, it's like you're not surprised, because you knew it was already, like, you've been building yourself so much, like, so when it's there, it's just like, and whenever that happens, okay, you knew that it was already a done deal, because you've just been building yourself so much, that it was destined, right? That's how this is. And before it can actually be real in your life, you've got to make it real for yourself. Residual income, like, that's why I take this business so seriously, because residual income was one of the best things I've ever created for myself. And I know when you guys experience that for yourself too, you're going to have a very similar, dynamic and feel around it for you, and what it's going to be able to do in your life. And you can, like, this business can be so real. It's just, how real are you making it? And you can't, if you find yourself on a day-to-day basis, feeling discouraged or put down, or, not wanting to get around the campfire or show up or things like that, that is your first, like, if we're taking the doctor approach or whatever, like, that is your first symptom. That's your first sign of, like, I've got to get around the source again. I've got to plug in. I've got to open up. I've got to communicate. You can't be a great leader and an ineffective communicator. Great leaders are effective communicators. When I know I'm going down, the wrong path, or, I'm feeling discouraged, like, the worst thing that you can do is pull away. You've got to lean in. So, all right, I think we've shared enough on this call. I appreciate you guys for being here as always. I'm going to take a little video. I appreciate you guys for being here as always, and just sharing your Saturday morning with me and all of us, and bringing your energy, bringing your takeaways. It's always nice to hear from y'all and not just me. But next week I'm gonna drop in the chat. We're gonna go over. We're gonna talk about. And if you guys have any suggestions of what we should go over and talk about, post in the chat, let us know. And if you guys are still getting value from these calls, post a little something in the chat, in the leaders chat. Post a little something in the leaders chat. I'd love to see us have all 14 of us on this call one day. I don't know if it'll happen, but we'll see. But I love you guys. Have a great Saturday. Crush your week, and I will talk with y'all later. Peace.